Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, October 18th, 2020. We've just had a new moon in Libra. And as the title of this show is, history's repeating itself. And I say that because we've got Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto all hanging out, moving forward again. And they are squaring everybody, including the sun. I was going to say under the sun, but everybody, and Mars. So we've got a lot of very, very interesting week ahead of us. And I want to say interesting couple of weeks because, you know, the new moon ushers in a 2 weeks worth of energy. So Jupiter representing our beliefs, Saturn representing things, old beliefs, old ways of being, old structures. And there's Pluto with its little detonator saying, well, let's just rethink this. So anyway, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but I'm going to do a little business at hand first. I want to say that Juan is still in the hospital. He is on the mend, but he had to stay a little bit longer than he thought. So hopefully he'll be coming home this week. So he won't be with us today, but if you guys will continue to send good vibes to him for his speedy recovery, that would be awesome. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. I am indeed a year older. I've begun today as the first day of my 62nd year of life. Technically, I'm 61 when people ask, but we all know how that goes. And 14 Re. I would like you to get a hold of me because you have been gifted something by our guardian angel, and I've been waiting for you to show up to let you know that it happened. So if you will reach out through Lada's website, you've received a half-hour free reading from our tribal angel. So, okay, so I just want to, now that I've said that about Juan, everybody knows that. Yeah, so I'm serious. 14 Re, the big smile on the end of your name. You have a reason to smile today. You have been gifted a half-hour free reading with me by our tribal angel. So reach out to me through Lada's site, Teri Hunter. Okay. All right, guys, I want to say this. I was watching the History Channel yesterday, okay? I mean, I watched it for hours. It was all about American, frontier and the key players, Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, JP Morgan, and Andrew Carnegie. And it was amazing to me how similar that period of time felt to what's happening now. Maybe the circumstances aren't exactly the same. We're not talking railroads and kerosene and steel, but we are talking about technology changing the way we do things. And we're talking about the world transforming. And we're talking about, one of the challenging aspects this week, well, I don't know, for the next few days at least, with the Mercury retrograde, Mercury is opposing Uranus. Our everyday activities, right? Our everyday communications is Mercury in the sign of birth and death and rebirth. And then it's in opposition to Uranus, which represents revolution and change and technology and science and unexpected events. So this is what I want to say. I feel like through technology, we are going to hear some amazing things. Scorpio rules, Pluto rules Scorpio. It's the great detective, secrets, what's hidden underneath. So here we go. That's what I think. I think we are going to hear things and be surprised by things. And it's going to challenge our truths. It's going to bring tension to us. It's going to be like a mind meld, which offers, I want to say to be unshackled in some ways, but that shackling, there's a pain attached to all of this, you guys. I don't want to sound be doomsday, but I don't think that I'm saying anything you guys aren't already feeling on your own. So this is where I'm going with all of this. Within our own personal lives, as we are willing to dig deeper into the truths of our life and allow for the rebirth of that, what are we doing in our everyday life that isn't serving us? What story are we telling ourselves? You know, is that an old antiquated idea, or is it really viable? And then when we are rubbing up against other people who are going through the exact same thing, the same musings, the same reflections, the same frictions within their own worlds, and if we could stand in a little bit of compassion, like be the ear that we want to have on the other side of us, we can start to create this revolution in a way that brings more harmony. Libra New Moon. But again, everybody's squaring everybody or opposing everybody. Venus is in opposition to Neptune. And as I said, Mercury is in opposition to Uranus. The Sun is squaring Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, as is Mars. And all of that, thank you, is squaring my personal life. It is squaring my ascendant, it's squaring my Sun, and it's squaring my Mars. So, well, I don't feel personally, it's interesting because I think that being conscious has made this transit less frustrating and given me an opportunity to surrender more to it and be more mindful of what the universe has to remind me of so that I can create a new chapter. All of this is happening in 2020. 2020 reduces down to a 4. 4 is the number of the master builder. We are rebuilding our lives. So I'm going to start the readings next, but I just want to say this. Give yourselves an opportunity over the next couple of weeks to really think about not what it is that you want to be heard for, but how you want to hear, so that others, you can start a wave of that. And I mean it in the way of listening, even if you don't agree. Sometimes when we listen, we hold our breath, waiting to say our piece. Be Libra like this next couple of weeks, and let's see if we can start change the tide here. Okay. All right, here we go. I'm going to start, as always, with Pisces and work my way towards Aries. That's rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. And I say it in that order because rising is, I believe, the most powerful for me personally. I'm an Aries rising, Libra moon, Libra sun. The moon is our emotions, and everything we manifest is manifested through our emotional body, whether we are working hard or not. Meaning we can work hard forever and a day, but it's our emotional body that's actually doing the manifesting. Okay. And I say stelliums because stelliums, if you have 4 or more planets in one sign or one house, that's huge. And I think Lada said it was a mission that a holy mission that you've chosen to address, either for yourself, for others, for evolution in general. All right, so here we go. Pisces, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Good morning, everybody. I didn't say good morning to many people. Sorry, I just launched in. Okay. Give it a good shuffle. All right, Shelley, this is for you. Our first angel is Maya, the angel of education. Here is, in the opportunity or the obstacle, we have Yvonne, for me, the angel of vulnerability. Then we have Merlina. Merlina is the angel of confusion, needing to do research. And then we have Akasha, the teacher. Interesting, Pisces. Let's see how this will play out. Okay. I'm not sure what Pizza Time is asking exactly. I don't know if it's your first time here, Pizza Time. Okay, I will show the cards as soon as I get the full spread going. So joining Maya in the foundational position, Pisces, is the goblin. Joining Yvonne is the butterfly. Joining Merlina is the cow, and joining Akasha is the bear. Okay, so this is really, really powerful. Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Maya is the card of schooling and education, the angel of schooling and education, and it is coupled with the ego. This is a very volatile new moon we had on Friday. It was, and I say volatile because it's going to really rub up against people's beliefs, and people are going to think they are right. And the right is opposing other people's right. And so what I believe for Pisces is one of the things that you have very much to remember about yourself is that the ego is where we edge God out. And how will we learn that? By being vulnerable to this growth time. And I say that because the butterfly is blossoming out of the cocoon. What once was is no longer. And that is exactly what we've been seeing going on for the last 2 years. It's what this transit in Capricorn has been representing as another opportunity for man to evolve to greater heights of technology, of manifestation, of self-expression. So this is not an easy energy, the butterfly. As beautiful as it is, it's very challenging. So it's about gentle care with yourself, because you're going to go through a time of unknowing, a time of unsureness, because the angels are saying Merlina is about confusion. It's about being indecisive. It's about needing to do more research. And then we have the cow. The cow is about asking and receiving nourishment and abundance. And in this respect, I'm going to address the asking and receiving. I really feel like what you have an opportunity, Pisces, to learn is about when you connect with God and the angels about what it is that you want, what it is that you don't necessarily have to believe 100% that it is viable, especially if you've never experienced it. It's a concept more than it is a reality. So you have to be vulnerable to the transformation of it, to the road of unknowing, and all the questions that the ego will ask you. Are you too old to enjoy it? Are you too poor to get it? Are you too unattractive, or whatever your story is? Because in the final position, you're rewriting your own history. And I started talking about reading the History Channel. And here's Akasha, the spiritual teacher. And so I really believe that this is about you learning how your history is your history is working for you, not against you. Years ago, when I was in my 20s, my mid-20s, and I was going through a really bad breakup. And I read this book by Richard Bach called The Bridge Across Forever. And he talked about how someday you would come to a point where you would be able to look at your past and actually be grateful for it and thankful for it. And that's what I think is happening for my Pisces right now. You know, in many ways, lots of times you little fishies will want to just swim away and say, I don't want to look at that. I don't want to deal with that. But I think this is about, I talked about Uranus, and I talked about Mercury being in Scorpio, and Uranus is in Taurus. So Taurus is fixed and wants to sort of stay where it is. And Scorpio is asking us, dig deep, 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 deep. Is it working for you? Is that belief working for you? Is that dynamic working for you? Because you can be liberated from it, and you can learn something about your history that rewrites the story. That's the way I want to put it. It's almost like your own little Independence Day for Pisces. Okay, I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes. I had a very lovely day. It was very relaxing, and I got lots of love from my friends, and it felt really good to do nothing. Start the day off, or start the year off right. I did have a casualty of my manicurist. I couldn't get there, and we've had a little issue, but that was about the most challenging thing in the day. So thank you, everybody, for the birthday wishes. Okay, so we're going to go on to our Aquariuses now. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. As I'm shuffling, I want to say, as I'm thinking about this chart right now and what it looks like, with all the squares in it, I feel like I can't help it. I was really on that History Channel yesterday watching all of this stuff. And it was interesting to me, especially Rockefeller, because he was so innovative in what he did in his negotiations with Vanderbilt. But when it came time for him to have to innovate, like he was being innovated out of, when J.P. Morgan and Edison brought in the light, electric light, it started to make his work obsolete. And it was just so interesting to watch that resistance, and the ultimate was to create a win-win. And I feel like, what are we doing right now? We're going through this opportunity to learn how to create a win-win. It's not you win, I lose, or I win, you lose. So, and this is an old belief system that we have. So that's where I'm so interesting. All right, here we go. Aquarius, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you have a stellium in Aquarius, you are so innovative. Honestly, you really do need to walk to the beat of your own drummer, because that's how you're pre-wired. And I would bet it's like a holy mission for you to help be innovative and revolutionary. And that might be shocking to some people. Okay, here we go. Aquarius, our first angel is Crystal. The second is Chantal. The third is Caressa. And the final is Layla. Welcome, Nancy. Welcome, Marta, Shelley, Martina, Brianna, Nikki, Tebow, Small, good morning. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Okay. All right, Aquarius. Crystal is saying have faith and hope, and she's being joined by the risk card. Chantal is being joined by the love card. Caressa is being joined by the deer. And the frog is joining Layla. Okay, so this is what I want to say for my Aquariuses. Crystal talks about having faith and hope because there's more on the horizon that you can't see. And the risk card is you can't see anything. It is just a hope. It is a thought. It is a concept. It is a dream. It is a desire. So I want to say this. For my Aquariuses, Crystal is saying have faith and hope, and it's time to risk a bigger picture. And I want to say it this way because I think this is somehow betting on yourself. Somehow this feels like it's all about love. It's all about intimate love. This is your opportunity and or your obstacle. So those of you that are in relationships that are challenging, those of you that haven't been in a relationship, love is still alive and well, and it's time to start to stoke the embers. And that embers isn't with necessarily another human. It's within oneself, the concept, the idea, the musings. When you muse about love, Aquarius, you may come from a very rational place. I mean, you are the scientist of the zodiac. So you may say, well, this is what I've experienced, and this is, the probability of that. And it's really time to go into a space of closing a chapter and to be gentle and diplomatic with yourself as you do that. Because what if there is evolution that you haven't considered, and the evolution is within yourself, within your own focus? You don't see it. It's not common, okay? But there are couples that have gone through tremendous challenges within their relationships to triumph. And the key ingredient to that triumph was a tenacity to win. I could even, right off the bat, I think of Kobe Bryant and Vanessa when he went through the scandal. And how, his Saturn conjunct his sun made him tenacious about wanting to conquer through that, And I think about, I had another example. It's just slipped my mind, because I think what I'm looking for, or what Spirit is saying, is that this you're ruled by Uranus. Uranus is currently transiting the second house of Taurus, and it's in opposition to Mercury. There could be something that happens over the next couple of weeks that's so jarring to you, Aquarius, that it throws you off. And I want to go into your love body. I want to say it there because one of two things, well, not one of two things. It could be a love relationship starts, or the opportunity starts, or you have an epiphany about how you want to feel in love. I believe Venus is trining something. I have to think about it for a second. Because if Venus is in Virgo, then I think then it would be trining. Help me out, peeps. Where's Stephen when I need him? I think it's trining Capricorn. Yeah. Because if Libra's squaring it, then Virgo would be trining it. Okay. Because I want to put it this way. I think that there's going to be a change in your beliefs about love. That's where I'm going with Aquarius. And it's a releasing in some ways. It's a reconciliation of looking where you've been and being grateful that you didn't actually, thank you, Danny, that you didn't actually get what you thought you wanted. And now I feel like there's going to be more hope for you. There's going to be more, you're going to be willing to risk it. And in doing so, that's putting focus in a happy way towards love. And I'm not talking about love of your dog or love of your kids or love of your neighbors. I'm talking about straight up intimate love, straight up. So, that's where I'm going with that. This new moon and this next couple of weeks, specifically maybe this week, could bring Aquarius an epiphany that feels shocking, and at the same time, it probably feels a bit obvious to you, but somehow it's incorporated inside of your heart where it starts to shift your outside experience. That's where I'm going. All right, let's go on to our Capricorns. I almost want to apologize from the universe to the Capricorns because you really have been, depending upon what's going on in that house for you and where, bada bing, bada boom. That's me too, because I'm square and everything squares me there. Okay. Welcome, Dawn. Beyond the Matrix, welcome back. Hey, Tebow. I said hi to you. Hi, CJHS, HSJC. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I'm so glad you have had 17 years with him. That's so beautiful. It's such an abundance. 17 reduces down to an 8 in the number of abundance. So I want to offer you this while you're saying goodbye to your cat's physical body. He is going to be with you forever in lifetime after lifetime. I had my last cat, Emmett. I had him 17 years as well. He was about 20 when he passed. And I'm telling you, I love that cat. He passed 6 years ago now. And I miss him still. So sad. All right, here we go. On to Capricorn. And oh, by the way, since Juan isn't here, if you guys want to help me with those timestamps, I appreciate it. I love you all. Sarah B., I think you helped me so much last week. Thank you. Thank you. Small, of course, thank you for your help always. Hi, Nico. Oh, wow, you okay. Here we go. Capricorn, this is for you. A lot of liberation for you. Okay. Capricorn, Isabella says, yes, the timing is right for this new venture. A happy outcome follows your expectation. Chantal is in the opportunity, the obstacle. Isaiah is saying it's time to give birth to new ideas. And then there's Serafina, a happy change coming to your family. Well, this is welcome, isn't it? Let's see what the other deck brings in. Hi, Don. Welcome, Apostle Fred Brown Jr. Okay. Joining Isabella is the frog. Joining Chantal is the focus card. Joining Isaiah is the truth card. And joining Serafina is the movement card. Okay, so interesting how things change when you use the deck, because to me this feels like, okay, so this is the third go around for these planets in Capricorn: Jupiter, Pluto, and obviously Saturn. Now the difference is that the configurations, this is squaring a lot of things. So what I feel like is this is for Capricorn, the moment when everything, the epiphany happens, when the zit pops, when the cannon blows, And I don't mean it in a strictly negative way. I mean it in a good way, because I think you're going to make sense of this last few years. And this may be where you just say, you know what? I'm not going by the old rules. Everybody, we talk so much about Saturn being the big bad daddy in the sky. You know, he's bigger and badder than Mars. But the flip side of both of these planets is reward for hard work and conscious work. You know, with Mars being the truth seeker and Saturn being the taskmaster. And where does he want your tasks to be aligned to what you love, Capricorn? That is the big hard ass lesson. Sorry to say it like that. And that's why I feel like this is the releasing of emotional baggage. And it is time. You've been kind of walking through this for the last, you know, I don't want to just, because when I think about myself, I have only one, I have Saturn in Capricorn, but it's been squaring me for such a long time that I feel like this is applicable for me too. So you guys look into your personal natal charts and see where the aspects are. Are you being squared? Are you being opposed? Are you being trined? Because I feel like this is rewriting such a big story for Capricorn and for everyone. But this is not just about how we love each other, how we view each other, but how we love ourselves, how we view love in general. Because there's the focus card. And I think that this is it in some ways it feels a little bit like intimate love, but it feels more like Capricorn gets a revision and a revitalization for life and love in general. This planet has been so hard. And this last 2020 has just felt like a pressure cooker in some ways. And to me, this Isaiah is giving birth to new ideas, and there's the truth. And this is your opportunity now to focus in on what you love. That's where Saturn starts to reward. It rewards for the hard work towards what you love. And that's why there's a happy change to your family. That's where the movement comes. So I want to offer it this way. Some of you may want to endeavor in intimate love. Some of you may want to start to just do things that you love more instead of feeling so dutiful or so oppressed by your own sense of obligation and your own stoicism. So this is where the epiphany comes that what good do I do anyone when I teach the lesson to do things I don't love? We manifest through our emotional body, no matter how hard we work. So if we're working hard towards something we don't love, then the slow erosion of our emotional body is the slow erosion of our manifestation and our dreams. It's why you see people who, when they're young, they start off wanting to make money. What do you want to do? I want to make money. And so the focus of making money becomes primary, not the passion. And one of the things I learned about on the History Channel, that each one of these great leaders, these men who changed the way that we live, they each had a passion beyond the money. The passion was power, but their own sense of innovation as well, their own ideas being birthed into the world. So that's what I think is going on for Capricorn, that you are going to experience very strongly as a result of this configuration. I can't call it one thing. It's the whole dang chart is just riddled with challenges right now, but they're challenges that they're stripping away the old that doesn't serve, but yet that you're used to. So that's where I'm going with this. And I feel like the real movement comes from your willingness to birth a new idea about yourself. And in doing so, it has a ripple effect outside of yourself. Okay. So let's go on to our Sagittariuses. I want to, as I'm shuffling for Sagittarius, I want to say this. I work with God and the angels every day, and oftentimes I don't pray for things directly. I almost make this weird assumption that because I think about it, or because I'm working in the angelic realm, doing my readings or whatever I'm that God and the angels actually know what I want. And it occurred to me the other day that they do know what I want. They do know. And just because they know, it doesn't mean they're allowed to intervene. I have to ask them. I have to make this request in some ways. I kind of want to go back a couple of signs. I think it was Pisces that had the ask and receive card. And recently I told you guys I had this weird, I felt like I got punched in the face. And I actually asked God and the angels for the first time in a long time to give me a physical experience that I could hang my hat on when I was in the energy of crystal, having to have faith that there was something more on the horizon. So I want to encourage you guys to simply ask straight up, I want a wife. I want a husband. Bring it to me, please. And if you can't bring it to me right now, give me an experience that will support my belief that it's out there. And then they can actually do something. We don't realize how powerful we are, because when we pray in a pleading energy, that's not giving the angels a green light. It's not. It's more of a yellow light at best, a cautionary light, because they see the wisdom of our illusion and the triumph that is offered through the breaking of that illusion. Okay, here we go. Sagittarius. Thank you, Marta. And now you say, thank you, angels, for bringing my husband to me. Our first angel is Caressa at the end of a life cycle. Athena, lovingly assert yourself powerfully. Adriana is leading you towards the answers to your prayers. And Bethany is about self-care. I had a friend bring me a gift yesterday, and it was a candle, one of them. I don't know if you can tell, but it's burning. If you can see where my finger's pointing, that's it right there. And it was all about this new moon. And I never ask for a mate, ever. Never even occurs to me to ask for a mate. So cheeky, I decided to ask for a mate. And you're supposed to burn this thing for 3 to 5 days or burn it consistently. And so I said, okay, angels, let's just make this the husband candle. So far no one's knocked on my door, but I did actually ask. So yes, perfect. I love that. And a husband who loves your cat. Okay. Caressa is being joined, Sagittarius, by the forgiveness card. Athena is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Adriana is being joined by the Risk card. And Bethany is being joined by the Earth Fairy. Okay. Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle, that new happiness awaits you. Allow God and the angels to comfort and guide you. And there's the forgiveness card. I don't think that forgiveness as something I bestow on someone else, but yet something that I can extract for myself, some sort of reconciliation of an experience. So I don't actually have to forgive others. So here is Caressa saying you're at the end of a life cycle, Sagittarius, and then there's the forgiveness. All of a sudden, as I say this, maybe you're at the end of the life cycle of having to forgive things, having to forgive slights, having to forgive inconsiderations, having to forgive inconsistencies in your life. Maybe you've just sort of come to like right here with it. And I say this because, when I think about what Jupiter represents, beliefs, represents the connection to the angelic realm. It represents religion, and so I really want to say that if indeed, let's say you have felt unforgiven by God, maybe you have very strict religious beliefs that make you feel like a sinner. And then suddenly you wake up and you're like, you know what? A loving God would never hold me in judgment. It's inconsistent with the word of the Bible, because now is a time to be courageous and to cut to your truth and to lovingly assert yourself towards that. And I want to say this because this feels very much about Sagittarius and something to do inside of yourself, some sort of permission you give yourself. Because Adriana is saying she's leading you towards the answers to your prayers, and there's a risk involved. The risk is always where you're having to assert yourself in an energy where you're unsure of the outcome. And then Bethany is about self-care, and there's the Earth Fairy about physical healing and also about creating new foundations. So for Sagittarius, I want to say it this way. This week, this new moon and the other aspects that have been involved may unearth beliefs. They may be long-held beliefs that you've had that are you know, I want to use something super like the egg, okay? The incredible edible egg. I'll use that as an example. You think the egg is good for you your whole life. You've been eating eggs. This is like, I'm getting my protein. And now you find out that eggs are the nemesis of your physical issues. That if you were not eating eggs, you would be taking out a whole host of things that aren't serving your body, which is in fact true. So something is going on with Sagittarius where a core belief is going to be erupted. It's going to be detonated in some way. It's going to blow up, but it doesn't have to blow up in your face. It's about a bigger wisdom on the other side of it. So as you surrender to that, and then you're courageous in knowing that God and the angels are leading you in a certain direction for a reason. If I think about it, for me, I have been asking God and the angels for a certain experience in my life. And yet growing up and becoming 61 years old, I never had it. So a lot of me honestly wanted to die, and I didn't take good care of my body. When I think about it, I didn't eat a lot of food, and the food I ate was like, wine and cheese and salami. There's not a lot of nutrients in that. So now I've been urged by spirit to be more aware of my body, because as I've course corrected what the old was, meaning the old vibration I didn't deserve, now I believe I deserve. So I'm kind of working on this for Sagittarius. There's something inside your body, not illness, but some sort of belief that is like at a cellular level, that as it is transformed to work for you instead of against you. And I use the egg as an example. You will feel empowered, and then this is going to take you to a whole new plateau. So here we are at the end of 2020, and we're going to go through a series of liberations. So I want to offer you, it'll make sense. It may not feel good in the beginning, but it will make sense, and it will be easier to implement as it does. And spirit will give you an experience to help you with the implementation. Okay, that egg thing really, really traumatized me, because I have to tell you, I love an egg. It was my go-to. And in letting eggs sit in the carton instead of eating them, it's had a huge difference. So be prepared. All right, here we go. Scorpio. Okay. You guys, as you study both astrology and spirituality, and you start to implement these things, your physical body vibrates at a different level. So some things like pizza may start to make you feel not the same as it used to. That's what I'm trying to say. Your emotional body will be not able to tolerate the density of what pizza is. I'm not saying it's not delicious. Just saying it's dense. All right, here we go. Scorpio, our first angel is Bridget. The second is Ariel. The third is Crystal. And the final is Xana. When I saw Bridget, the first thing I saw was that the opposition between Mercury and Uranus. I'm wondering if something interesting isn't coming to the surface for you. Violet Lotus, I would look at the stellium. The moon is still important, but the stellium is going to tell you a lot. 4 or more planets in one house or sign. Okay, Bridget is being joined by the swan. Ariel is being joined by the owl. Crystal's being joined by the focus card. And Xana is being joined by the risk card. Okay, so we call Scorpio the great detective, right? Because, you've got that razor intuition, and I feel like this detective inside of you is going to be triggered this week. And when you say, Bridget says to look deeper into a situation, to look into not the surface of it, okay? Because sometimes I almost feel like this is for Scorpio. It's look deeper with your intuition versus with your ears. And if somebody is telling you something that doesn't feel like the truth, you may just want to hold that to yourself for now, because you may get more validation if you don't jump into action. I say that because Spirit is here in the form of Ariel, saying that new psychic and spiritual experiences are changing the way you view yourself and others. And then the owl is about deception and wisdom. And I think you're going to learn how to cut through the bullshit, lies and truth, but through an experience that comes from an intuition, not necessarily somebody saying, oh, here is what I've heard. Because Crystal is saying have faith and hope in the angel's advice, and there's the focus card. For Scorpio, I want to say it this way. I feel like it doesn't have to be negative. It could be like, let me put it this way. You could be in a situation where you are around somebody who has some fears that are making them behave in a certain way. And in the back of your head, you think, they don't want to be that harsh. They don't mean to be that harsh. They're just sort of scared right now. And rather than reacting to the harshness, you allow that intuition to guide your behavior, because there will be some sort of confirmation on the flip side of it. Because here you have the protection card and you have the risk card. So you will be protected as you risk trusting your inner knowing. And I want to say it this way, because you will start to gain a habit of this, Scorpio. And if you have a stellium in Scorpio, oh my goodness, you should totally trust your intuition. I have Mercury and Neptune right next to each other in the 8th house of Scorpio. And when I was younger, I didn't trust my intuition because other people would tell me, oh, you don't know. How do you know? And I started to learn, you know what? I don't know how I know. I just know. And that's Scorpio. So you don't know how you know. You just know. And when you risk trusting that, then there'll be an experience that comes down the line that will validate it. And then you'll start to operate on that. That's where I'm going. Okay. All right, Teresa, right on. You're that Scorpio. I'm Teresa too, actually, but without the H. And I only get called Teresa by people who've known me a long time or bill collectors. And I don't have any bill collectors calling, thank you. Okay. I will say, though, when I pay my American Express bill, it's super gross and scary, because the lady that says, when she picks up the phone, she goes, hello, Teresa. And it sounds exactly like my biological mother, who I haven't seen in like 30 years. Okay, so here we go. We're going on to our Libras, in case I didn't say that. Libra, rising sun, moon, and stelliums. This is, if you're born right now, the 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, you're right up there feeling this square. Your sun is being squared. You're in opposition pretty much to Mars. Maybe not quite exact opposition, but close. So all your sense of peace and harmony may be feeling a bit trashed right now. I shouldn't laugh, but when I get nervous, sometimes I laugh. Okay, Libra. First angel is Teresa. Isn't that funny? The second is Isaiah. The third is Francesca. And the final is Mystique. And I say Teresa. She spells it like I do. Okay, let's go get the second deck. Oh, wow. Kenny, Chris, you are a rock star of intuition and should trust it ridiculously. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. Thank you, Brianna. Here we go. Libras, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Joining Teresa is Merlin. Joining Isaiah is the Swan. Joining Francesca is the Focus card. And joining Mystique is the Truth. Well, if anybody represents the truth, to me it's Libra. What is justice? So and Merlin represents justice and balance. Okay. So this was a Libra new moon. I didn't really put that in the title because to me, the new moon and everything else involved, it's all one big recipe. And the recipe is creating pressure, and it's creating alchemy, and it's creating justice. And part of that justice for Libra, This Teresa Zakar is an angel that represents taking care of others to the point of imbalance, taking care of them much more so than you take care of yourself. And I think that this is part of what Merlin is offering, that when we take care of ourselves, and I want to put it this way, because I'm not talking about your physical appearance, Libra. I am talking about your sense of justice, your sense of fairness, your sense of beauty and harmony. Because to me, and for me as a Libra right now, I have found that this disruption has a beauty all its own. This transit that we've been experiencing has a wisdom to it. And initially, especially like when Matt Lauer was popped for his inappropriate behaviors, it was like, a little like kind of like Santa Claus got caught doing something. It was just really weird. But now, and again, watching that History Channel thing yesterday, I see the evolution of the secular experience where we have opportunities to choose over and over again. So what I'm saying to Libra is, in your opportunity, your obstacle, it is time to give birth to new ideas. And the new ideas is really transformation, seeing a bigger picture, seeing that disruption could be the doorway to our dreams. When I watched that channel last night, those steel workers, they had jobs, they had an income, but it really wasn't serving them. They were spending, 3/4 of their life, their blood, sweat, and tears, not with their families, but, slaving for some, ideal that wasn't their own. So as they stood up to create a win-win, then we see how the unions were started to protect people. So the disruption was a doorway. Francesca's saying to Libra, what are you going to visualize? Focus on that. And that is where the transformation will come. It's almost as if not taking on the disruption and focusing in on that, but rather focusing in on this is a process, because the truth is coming out. The truth of everybody's truth is coming out on small scales, on big scales, on you name it, any scale, because Mystique is saying to expect miraculous solutions coming out of the dark and into the light, and the truth will be had. And the truth is this, I think, is that there's always a certain amount of imbalance, because imbalance creates balance. It creates motivation. If we were always in balance, we would basically be in spirit. So the imbalance, the fear, the illusion is also the keys to our empowerment, our triumph, our exhilaration, our achievement. So that's what I think Libra gets to focus in on, the wisdom behind the worry. I said that just for the W. Don't worry. Be happy. Let's go into Virgo. Hello, South Africa. Carla, welcome. Okay, here we go. Welcome, AJ, onto Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. All right. Virgo, our first angel is Indriel. The second is Isaiah. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Merlina. I can't help but think about Juan right now. He's a Virgo stellium. And Archangel Raphael is the angel of healing. Yay! DH, I'm in the US. Here we go. Virgo, rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Indriel, the light worker, is being joined by the spider. Isaiah is being joined by the love card. Archangel Raphael is being joined by the communications card, and Merlina is being joined by the fire fairy. Indriel is the light worker card. And I want to say it this way because I really believe we are all light beings, but I believe that us as light workers are people who have an inherent consciousness, an inherent awareness that we are part of a bigger system. And I say that because when I look at the spider, I actually see the grid. I see us as all part of a network. And so I want to say to Virgo, I feel like this new moon and this new this new beginning in some ways, because of all the disruption offers a breaking down. If you look at the shadow side of Virgo, it's dependable and practical and realistic. And I feel like part of this new realism and the new practicality is the connection to spirit. So as you really start to implement your network of people, I really want to say it this way, because Isaiah is saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And I don't think the love card is about intimate love. I think it's about what you love. I think it's about, when I was sitting here yesterday and I was basically, had the TV on the History Channel and I was working on an art project. And I thought to myself, I've been an old lady my whole life. When I was younger, I used to love to do needlepoint. I used to love to knit. I just always have like these little projects that I like to work on. And I remember when I was 35 going, I'll be so excited when I'm an old woman. I won't have to wear high heels anymore. I can work in the garden. And I feel like, what a silly thought that I thought I had to be an old woman to enjoy those things unabashedly. Because this is where I'm going with this. I feel like Virgo, the network also, the spider also talks about creative projects. What do you love? It's time to get into your web. It's time to have that be part of your network of things. And I want to say it this way, because if you just love to read and study and do so many mercurial things, awesome. Because here, it's what heals you. And I can't help but see this communications card as as really representing Mercury. There's no Mercury in this deck, but if I think about it, both the light worker card and Archangel Raphael have this illumination that's very bright coming from their crown chakra. And this would be my everyday activities. It's time to give birth to new ideas, doing the things that you love. Because it's interesting. Merlina talks about being having to do research, having to seek expert advice. And then the Fire Fairy is about creative action and optimism. There may be a little bit of something where you have to actually start to think about what do you love, because you're so used to working so hard. I feel like there's somehow been some sort of imbalance with Virgo, especially if you're a Virgo stellium, because you would be very much pre-wired to be super dependable and super, you're the greatest employee ever. You rule the 6th. If you have a stellium there, you're absolutely the kind of person I want to hire. So to me, Merlina's saying it's time to explore your creative side. It's time to play with what you love. If you like to do the crossword puzzle, do the crossword puzzle. If you've always thought, I just want to sit around and watch the news all day, I don't know that that's fun, but if that's what you like, do it. That's what I think this is about. Because I'm going to say this, I think that there's some sort of spark of something that comes to you. When I look at the Fire Fairy and I see Indriel and Archangel Raphael, I just feel like there's an epiphany about your beliefs. Here you go. That's part of what this whole new moon was about. And it's about other people's beliefs as well, and how in some respects you may have an epiphany just by observing what somebody else and how they show up, and how their opinion, you may agree with it, but you may not agree with how they express it. I don't know, but it feels like this new things for Virgo, new ideas, and more you time. I don't even want to call it playtime, because if you like to work in a garden, or if you like to paint a house and you want to redo I don't care what it is. All right, let's go on to our Leos. I haven't worn a high heel except maybe a wedge in forever. Okay. Hi, Tyler. Welcome. I'd really like to know. I need to do some research on who invented the high heel. How did that ever happen? How did that ever happen? I can only assume it was a short person. No offense. Somebody who wanted to be taller. All right, Leo, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Adriana. Our second is Chantal. Love is coming up a lot. Bridget is our third angel. And the final angel is Merlina. Okay. I'm not saying they don't look good. They look great. They're just so painful. Okay. Here we go. Leo, Adriana is leading you towards answers to your prayers. In love. Wow. Joining Chantal is the restriction card. Joining Bridget is the cat. And joining Merlina is the protection card. Okay, Adriana says she's leading you towards answers to your prayers through your intuitions, through your thoughts, and through your dreams. And here's the love card. I want to offer it this way because, you know, fifth house rules love, rules romance. And so I feel like if indeed, because I want to say this, I'm not feeling like this is for Leos necessarily that are in relationships. I feel like this might be for my single Leos. And 2020 has been a challenging year for interaction. And so you may be feeling a little bit down and out about it, but I want to say it this way because as I look at this combination, I feel like you may be ready, but maybe the person you're meant to meet hasn't been ready. And this is a period of time where they're starting to illuminate to the idea because love has been restricted. And that's the obstacle. And I want to put it this way because if somebody's been in a, let's say, you know, I don't think there is a million people for everybody. I think that there's certain connections that really hit on all cylinders, and then some that are okay, and then some that are just straight up forced. And I want to say it this way because if Leo has been restricted in some way, you may have been trying to force a situation or settling for a situation that you didn't really serve you. Because when I go to Bridget and the cat, I think this is about really reflecting on how your love life is working for you. And both sides of the fence, I want to say. Is it you being in the way, or are you settling for something that's not quite for you? I feel like there's a certain amount of reflection because with the reflection comes protection. And I want to put it this way because this, as I said, this feels like love coming to me, wanting love. And if you've been in relationships, you know, my words. I'm trying to think of an example in my head while I'm saying this, because there are certain people that I had a friend, Michael, handsome guy, you know, we were friends for 25 years and we could have been a couple. Everybody asked us why we weren't a couple. We were always together. We loved to hike together. We liked to eat together. We liked the same movies, but we were very different. And I could never get over the hump. And even though it all looked good on one side, I just couldn't get there. So I feel like that's what's going on with Leo, that there's been potential partners that were okay, but now it's time to kind of dig in for what you really want. And when I say that, it's not about judging what's been or judging your partner. It's more about that declaration to spirit where you start to describe that, because I think that what you'll end up seeing is that spirit does have your back more than you think they do, and not necessarily with something new, but in ways that are illuminated. You know, sometimes we don't realize it, but somebody will get something will happen and they'll have an epiphany and they'll think, I'm so grateful to have your energy in my life. And if a disruption or whatever hadn't happened, you wouldn't have that energy. So this week for Leo, if there is some disruption, some belief disruption, some discord in some way, then it could very much be how you show up about it engages the person to you in a new way. I'll give you a quick example just to be clear, and then I'm going to go on to Cancer. But I had a client, and he had someone spread a bad rumor about him. And when this person went such great lengths to damage him, his family supported him. They did not buy into the rumor monger, and that made him more appreciative of those people in his life. And so it shifted his perception. It made him more engaged in these relationships. So that's where I'm going with this. Angie, I'm just finishing Leo right now. I'm on to Cancer. Go backwards. This was Leo. Now I'm on to Cancer. Okay, here we go. Okay. Cancer, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel is Bridget. The second is Vanessa. The third is Caressa. And the final is Crystal. Hi, Oklahoma. Welcome. I love your name. "59 inches tall." That's about 6 feet, isn't that? Oh, thank you, Dawn, for checking on that. That's so interesting. I'm going to have to read this back. Okay, Cancer. Joining Bridget is the Death card. Joining Vanessa is the Lady of the Lake. Joining Caressa is the Letting Go card. And joining Crystal is the Birth and the Rebirth card. Okay, so I go backwards, DH, so Taurus will be second to the last. So Cancer, here, this is what I want to say. When I look at Bridget saying to look deeper into a situation, the first thing I think about is this opposition between Uranus and Mercury, and then the squaring of Mars and the Sun, basically, to Capricorn energy. And I feel like this is a death in some ways. There is going to be some I would suspect some information coming through. I can't help but say something in your everyday activities, something you learn, something you hear, and I hope it's not gossip. And if it is gossip, be very mindful before you react, because I feel like it triggers something inside of you that is just sort of done. I'm done. That's what I feel like for my Cancers. I'm done. I can't do this anymore because I need something that is more aligned to me. And Vanessa is in the opportunity and or the obstacle, and she's asking you to have faith in your deeper truth. And I want to say this because, Cancer rules home and hearth. It rules the fourth house. It rules motherhood. So this thinking in the collective comes naturally for you. And this death by, and I don't mean it as a physical death. It feels much more like a belief of something that's triggered, or something that you thought one thing and now you have to reevaluate the situation. And I think it's going to serve you in a better way. And in some respects, it gives you an opportunity to be even more authentic in what you have to express as a result of this. So if you've been sitting on something and you've been feeling like, I don't really want to make waves, and then the other side ends up bringing you a wave, ride the wave and allow yourself permission to step away from your fears. The letting go card is never letting go. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. It's the song from Frozen, Let It Go. And then there's the Caressa offering you a new chapter, a new amount of happiness. But in some ways we have to close that old chapter, and it's going to require courage and faith in your own truth, because Crystal is saying that there is something new on the horizon that you can't see, and it's offering you a new beginning. And the new beginning may not necessarily be with new players It doesn't necessarily mean like a divorce or a breakup. It could mean a new dynamic where somebody says, I never knew you thought that. I never knew you felt that way. I don't want you to feel that way. I'm so sorry. Let me see if we can make this better. So often we are afraid to express ourselves because we only see the dark reaction to it. We only see the challenge and reaction. And maybe if we thought about, because what happens is then we build ourselves up into a lather before we express ourselves. And then we are somehow, and not everybody does it, but more times than not, there's an accusatory energy behind it. And then we start this defending conversation. Well, I didn't do that, and you didn't do this, and I didn't mean that, la, la, la. So this feels more like this death feels like I'm looking deeper, not just into what you're doing, but what I'm doing as well, or what I'm believing. And I'm going to be courageous now and really looking at that, and not just addressing it with you, but addressing it with myself. How am I also participating in this co-creation? Because I think that there's an opportunity to have a more level playing field emotionally for Cancer moving forward. And in some ways, more appreciation and more depth within the relationships. So that's where I'm going. Thank you, DK. That was very generous of you. I really appreciate it so much. It makes me feel so loved when you guys do that. It's always it's never a requirement, obviously, but just that you would even take the time. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's go on to our Geminis. Gemini, rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Hi, Iskin. Thank you, Dawn. I love to hear about information, and I love to look things up. I'm so curious. I was doing that last night. I was like, wait, when was this? This was all like about 100 years ago. It was like 18. Well, actually, that's not true because I watched a lot of them. And when they got to the steel, it was when it was getting a little so similar to what's happening now. Really interesting for me. Okay, I'm going to watch a lot more History Channel. I started watching it because I'm studying with Brian. I'm going to do past life astrology readings. That's what I'm working on. So I've been studying with him and taking private tutoring. And he mentioned that his mentor had a lot of history knowledge. So that's what made me watch the History Channel. I'm like, I should just do this while I'm doing my art project, and I can learn and play at the same time. Thank you, DH. I so appreciate it. And actually, it's interesting because my initials are TDH. So if your name is Diane Hunter, I'm just like, are you kidding me? All right, here we go. Our first angel for Gemini is Crystal. The second is Caressa. The third is Indriel. And the final is Mystique. Okay, DH. Okay. Cool. So we share the last two initials. All right. Crystal is being joined by the spider. Caress is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Indriel is being joined by the owl. And Mystique's being joined by the partnership card. When I look at this, even though there are no love cards in this, the first thing I think of is Gemini's love life. I feel like Crystal is saying to have faith and hope. There's more on the horizon that you can't see. And for me, when I see the spider, the first thing I see is a relationship. I always have. For a long time, I thought of it as my realtor card because you build a relationship with your clients. And so I feel like for my Geminis, my twins, my wonderful air signs that can go back and forth thinking about, I have no evidence. I feel like Crystal is saying it's not about evidence right now. It's about feeling what it feels like when you get there, because Caress is saying you're at the end of a life cycle right now. And I think the Lady of the Lake is asking you to have courage to believe, courage to focus in on what it is that you want to receive in a relationship. When I think about love life, I think about this is my experience. Most of us that are of a certain age that have been single for a while, when we think about our love life, the first thing we think about is the disruption of it, what the compromises will mean. And we think about youth is naive to the amount of compromise that a relationship takes. But as we get older, we're acutely aware of it. And so the reason I'm saying that is because I feel like it's time to have courage to think that a relationship could actually work. Meaning two people can come together and be cooperative and supportive and actually purport a vibration that is something that we dream of. Because Indriel, the light worker, and the owl are together in the angel's advice, and I think they're asking you to really cut through the deception and get to the wisdom. These days many of us don't need a relationship for survival. We have our own means. So we're choosing relationships for different reasons. So now I think it's time for Gemini to give life to that new idea. You know what? I think I actually would really enjoy a relationship. And this is what I would like, because in the final position is Mystique saying that to keep charging ahead, to expect miraculous solutions. And then there's the partnership card. And I want to put it this way, because oftentimes when I just use the word partnership, we think to ourselves, oh my God, I have to sleep with somebody. I have to live with somebody. I have to blah, 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 blah. It could be just about companionship. It could just be about bringing more people into your world that relate to you on a level that you're not getting right now. That's why I like this community on Sundays, because all of us at some level are invested in our own consciousness, invested in our own soul's evolution, and we're curious. What does Gemini represent? Curiosity. So to me, I think this is about exploring relationships from a more unusual perspective, meaning you could write it any way you like. You could be in a relationship that, doesn't even have to be in your own town. You could start relationships, here we are all over the world. And in some respects, we're creating relationships. I've watched the people in this tribe become friends with each other, and through the internet create a dynamic where there's feeling more support, like what we're doing for Juan. This is where I'm going with this. And from there, we can then capitalize on that and bring that into the love life sector for Gemini as well. So I think that this is really about having more ideas and faith in the respect that the way you would write a relationship is possible, that somebody would have the same appetites and not be offended. So when I have my boyfriend and I say, love you, see you next Friday, bye, and they're gone for 4 days, he's not going to think she's rejecting me. He's going to think, yay, I get to go home and do my thing, and I'll talk to her tomorrow. And I'll see her on the weekend. Ding! Works perfect. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses. And this is the other thing. Okay, so I told you guys earlier that my Sun and my Mars and my Ascendant are all being squared by the action in Capricorn. Well, the other good news is my Moon is in 9 degrees Taurus, which I'm pretty sure we're right hovering around there. So it's right on this whole unexpected stuff. Did we make some facts wrong? Okay. Hi, Debbie Walker. All right. It's funny that benefits is just considered sex, because I want so many more benefits than just sex. Honestly, we need to rewrite our benefits, guys. We need to really think deeper about these things. All right, here we go, Taurus. Yes, DH. Yeah, like I would like to have a chauffeur. That would be nice. Okay, Seraphina is our first angel. The second is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The third is Caressa. And the final is Azure. Wow. I have to agree with you, Dawn. It was this road of hard knocks. The wisdom is much more experienced versus when I was younger, it was more conceptual wisdom, which was harder to hang my hat on. Okay. All right. Serafina is being joined by the love card, Taurus. Uranus is hovering around you. Your sign, your whole world could be changing as you're liberated. Daniel is being joined by the burden card. Caressa is being joined by the Baird. And Azure is being joined by the Serpent. Okay, this is what I want to say. For my Tauruses, okay, so I made a joke. Okay, see my finger pointing at that candle? I don't know if you can see the little flame, but a friend of mine brought me that candle yesterday for my birthday, and I was supposed to make a wish. And I thought about, all the wishes I could make. And the one thing I never really wish for is a relationship. I never put any focus on it. I don't do dream boards about it. I mean, maybe once in a blue moon. And we're having a blue moon in 2 weeks, by the way. We'll talk about that next week. But so I decided, cheeky, I said to Spirit, all right, I'm going to burn this candle. I'm going to have this as a representation of that my light is shining, that I'm open. And here are the things that I'm interested in when it comes to relationship. Because at this point, I want to talk about astrology. I want to talk about concepts. I want to talk about, when I say concepts, I'm thinking of transformational concepts, things such as that. Because Taurus, love is possible. And Serafina says there's a happy change coming to your family. And this is something that the fixed sign of Taurus has to start to really connect to, is this energy right here. Because if you keep going into the past and what hasn't worked, you're going to disrupt this energy. And I say that because your obstacle is indeed your history in partnership. I see that because here's the burden card. So what Daniel talks about when he says he's bringing you a life partner is, what's your history that you bring into the relationship? What is your story? I always get this type of person, or love doesn't last, or love is not monogamous. Because this is an opportunity, honestly, for a Taurus to let go, end of a life cycle of their story, the old bad story that doesn't work for you. This is, as I was lighting that candle yesterday, on my birthday, I thought to myself, I have a very strong story about love. And it's 61 years old, basically. As long as I can remember, everybody who has ever loved me has said, I love you, but I got to go. You can do this on your own. You're good. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's the way it's going to be. So I got good on being on my own. Now I wonder if I can do the opposite. But Taurus, Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future, and you will shed a skin. You will not be the same person. You'll be a whole new person, because that history will have worked for you. And somehow, some way, Uranus is going to liberate you from an old dynamic that just doesn't serve you. And maybe it's going to happen through some sort of disruption. I should look on my phone's way over there. I think that the Uranus is somewhere around 9-10 degrees. So it's right kind of in the middle of the house. And in doing so, I feel like it has this little bit of a ripple effect, in the sense of, if I don't fight it, then I can triumph over it, meaning I can use it to be a launching pad. So I want to offer this because that opposition to Mercury right now could bring some information. And the information may be an illumination within yourself, but it may be an illumination about something else, and something you're just not willing to do anymore. You're like, I'm done telling myself this story. So let's say you're in a relationship, and that relationship is somebody who is texting you more than they're seeing you. Or they're constantly saying, oh, I wish I could get together with you, but this is in the way, but that's in the way. Pay attention. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's an intention, things happen. And where there is no intention, nothing happens. And grabbing onto that, Taurus, maybe the very thing where you're like, okay, I let it I let it be what it is. And that pops the energy that then brings in either a change in the dynamic of an existing relationship or something new that serves a higher and deeper purpose for your own intimate happiness. Straight up intimate happiness. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Aries. That's me, Aries rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Mars is transiting our house backwards. Mars is moonwalking through its own sign. And if you ask me, I think it's sort of not really a moonwalk. It's more of a monster mash. That's what it feels like. Okay. Yep, Aries rising. Here we go. Moon, sun, and stelliums. And if you have an Aries stellium, then you know this squares could really be bringing out the warrior in you. And I think maybe you're going to want to think about whether you're the peaceful warrior or just the pillager. The pillager is not going to get much. It's hard to be conscious all the time. I got to tell you, it's really annoying. For years, I remember being so frustrated because there'd be the conscious side of me that says, well, if you behave that way, you're not going to get what you want. And then there was the other part of me that'd be like, but I want to behave that way. I'm mad. I still have those moments, but they're just a little bit more easier. All right, Aries. Fiona, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving their guidance. You deserve heaven's help. Maya is in the opportunity, the obstacle. Astera is in the angel's advice. And Teresa is in the final position. Rasmus, that's wonderful. When you can wish someone well, even though you know it's just not the right person for you. No need to be angry. Okay. Fiona is being joined by the perception card. Maya is being joined by the focus card. Astera is being joined by the bee. And Teresa is being joined by Merlin. Wow. Okay, so first thing I want to say for all of us Aries, and I laugh when I say that because I do feel so Aries, is we're working on our perceptions. And I want to say it this way because I don't think that Aries, that you're wrong. But I do want to know, or I do think Spirit wants to know, how do you want to be right? Meaning you can be right in a way that enrolls others, that actually gains their support or their agreement, or you could kind of do it the way you've been doing it, which is blunt, to the point, and taking no prisoners. Because I believe that you're evolving past that. I believe that there's more that you want. I see the perception card and I see Fiona, and I feel like this is where you want to implement the spiritual warrior, where you want to stand in the energy that is willing to be brave and courageous for spirit. And what we know energetically is the highest vibration versus maybe how we've been before, where the impatience, because what you're learning is about your focus. And Maya is teaching us a lot, reminding us, because when we focus on what is disruptive and what frustrates us or what we have resentment about, it grows. And I say this very much because Astera is asking us to reach for the stars with our being energy. That's where the victory comes. This is something that I swear I work on a daily basis. Yesterday, I had so much love, but not one person in my family reached out to me to wish me a happy birthday. And, you know, that's not a new story. It's not a shocking story. It's a story I know. So I really yesterday kind of had to think, how am I going to process this again? And I wanted my being energy to be the most important thing to me. I didn't want to care about the other nonsense going on, because that's what I think this is about with Teresa. I think Teresa is saying, you know what, you can't do anything about anybody else, but you can stand in balance for yourself. And there's where the alchemy lies. So that's where the true transformation of Mars happens, and where Mars becomes your favorite energy to be, because you're standing in your truth, you're standing in your light, and you will not back down. And I really truly believe that that's what this week is about. There's going to be, people's beliefs are going to be on display. People are going to think that they're right and others are wrong. It's very polarizing, where this isn't going to stop. Meaning this is going to be a continued energy moving forward through the end of the year, probably into the beginning of 2021, where I think we'll start to see people aware of this heightened sense of righteousness. Some people will truly think they're standing in righteousness, and in doing so, that will start to foster more cooperation. So for my Aries, you have an opportunity this week to stand in relationship with spirit and really look deeper and bravely into your own perceptions. And in doing so, you can start to see how much focus you're putting on the perception that is not working for you. And in doing so, you can reach for a higher vibration, and it will not be hard to attain. Family issues, I really believed family issues are very common, because I think that energetically we incarnate into the dynamics that are going to bring us the greatest support for our soul's evolution. So that's why I think that, I think if I wasn't an Aries rising, that my family dynamic would have pulled me under, and I wouldn't be able to be Teri. So I needed a little bit of that Aries piss and vinegar, especially in my youth, because I was still working through the issues. And then as I've gotten older, Saturn has helped me to start to stand in the light of what I want, and to really look at the structure that it represents, and is this serving my greatest good? Because I think of my greatest good as your guys' greatest good. If I was listening to my family and doing my family things, I'd be listening to a preacher on Sunday mornings. This would never happen. So to me, there's a bigger wisdom, and part of my job is always to try to follow the bigger wisdom and to connect with spirit, to validate and to give me experiences that support my inspiration. So that's where I'm going. Just call me. See, I'm the same thing. I totally feel like, I'm an afterthought. I've probably not had a conversation with a family member where they were talking to me in years. Usually they're doing dishes, making dinner, and then the minute they get done doing whatever they're doing, they're like, okay, goodbye. And I'm pretty sure they don't know what I said. But, that used to make me feel invisible. And I started to think, well, you know what? If I'm focused on feeling invisible, then I'm not focused in on my highest vibration. And then in some ways, the dark side wins. The dark side wins when I get caught up in my Aries resentment and my hurt. And that's only place my focus is. And what is Spirit saying for Aries right now? To reach for the stars with your being energy, and allow your independent and courageous nature to step away from it, and to say, you know what, if that's how you show up in how you call you love somebody, well, it's not how I feel loved. And it's okay. It's just not okay for me. So there we go. All right. So that's it for today. I want to thank everybody for joining me as usual, and thank you for your beautiful contributions and monetary contributions. They just make me feel so valued. Thank you to all the new people who showed up. Hope you'll come back again. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm available for readings through Lada's website. And I will be back next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time for more messages with your angels and angels in astrology. Because you know what? It's written in the stars, guys. It really is. I send lots of love to you. Peace out.